Emily was the kind of person who made you feel seen, even if you were just another face in the crowd. At the little coffee shop on 7th Street, she wasn't just a barista, she was a bright spot in people's mornings. The kind who remembered your name, your order, and asked how your day was going, and actually meant it. People loved her for that. Behind the counter she moved quickly, pouring warmth into every cup she served. Not just coffee, comfort. Kindness seemed to flow through her naturally. She believed in good people, second chances, and doing what was right, even when no one was watching. But not everyone saw it that way. Her boss called it wasting time. Some coworkers said she was too soft. Emily didn't care. She wasn't trying to impress anyone. She was just trying to make the world feel a little less cold. Until one rainy afternoon, everything changed. All it took was one simple act. One choice from the heart, and it cost her everything. She was fired, just like that. No warning, no second chance, just pack up and leave. But here's the twist. That moment, what felt like the end of the road, was actually the beginning of something bigger than Emily could have ever imagined. Because sometimes the world tests your kindness to see if it's real. And sometimes, when life takes everything from you, it's only making space for something greater. She thought she was doing the right thing, but instead, she lost everything. Or so she thought. Emily's days all looked the same. She'd wake up early, get dressed in her worn-out uniform, and head to the small coffee shop nestled between towering office buildings. The city buzzed with noise and rush, but inside the shop, Emily tried to create a little corner of calm. She worked long hours behind the counter, serving hurried customers with a smile, even when her feet ached and her mind was tired. It wasn't just a job to her, it was a way to keep going, because Emily had more on her plate than most. She shared a tiny apartment with her little brother Danny, who was only 10. Their parents weren't around. Emily had taken on the responsibility of caring for him, making sure he had food, school supplies, and a warm place to sleep. Some days the worry about rent payments gnawed at her like a constant shadow. Still, Emily never let the weight show. Instead, she held on tightly to her dreams. She dreamed of writing stories, books filled with hope and kindness, the very things she poured into her everyday life. Every night, after Danny was asleep, she'd pull out her old notebook and write by the light of a small lamp. Those stories kept her spirit alive. But not everyone saw her like that. Her boss, Mr. Carver, was the opposite of Emily. He was all business, always watching the register, cutting corners, and pushing for higher profits. To him, the coffee shop was a machine, and Emily was just another worker to keep the gears turning. He often told her to stop daydreaming and focus on the numbers. He frowned whenever she spent a little extra time chatting with customers or helping someone in need. Still, Emily kept smiling, because in a city full of rush and noise, she believed a little kindness could make a difference, and she was determined to be that difference, no matter how hard it got. It was a cold, rainy afternoon, when everything changed. Emily was working her usual shift at the coffee shop, the rain tapping hard against the windows. The usual crowd hurried in and out, umbrellas dripping, eager to get warm and get moving again. Then, just before closing time, the bell above the door jingled softly. Emily looked up. A man stepped inside. His clothes were soaked, torn, and hanging loosely on his thin frame. His face was tired, eyes shadowed by exhaustion and the cold. He didn't order anything. He just stood there, shivering, trying to warm his hands on his ragged jacket. Emily's heart tightened. Without thinking twice, she went behind the counter and grabbed a fresh sandwich from the day's leftovers. Then, she poured a steaming cup of coffee, black, no sugar, and quietly placed them on the counter. When the man saw what she had done, his eyes filled with tears. He smiled, a small broken smile, and whispered, "Thank you, I haven't eaten in 2 days." Emily smiled back, telling him, "It's okay, please, just take it." She didn't tell her boss, she didn't ask permission, she simply wanted to help. But not everyone saw kindness the same way. One of her co-workers, Jake, noticed what happened. He watched as Emily paid for the food and drink out of her own pocket. Jake frowned. Later that day, when Mr. Carver came in for his usual inspection, Jake pulled him aside. "Emily's been giving away food and drinks without charging. Jake said quietly, but clearly. It's bad for business. Mr. Carver's face darkened. What? Is that true? Jake nodded. Emily was called into the back office almost immediately. Her heart pounded as she faced Mr. Carver's stern gaze. We can't afford to lose money, he said coldly. You gave away free items. That's against policy. You're fired. Pack your things. Emily tried to explain. I didn't mean to cause problems. The man was cold and hungry. Rules are rules, Mr. Carver interrupted. If you can't follow them, this isn't the place for you. Her voice trembled, but she kept her head high. She grabbed her belongings and walked out into the rain. Her kindness had cost her everything, but deep down, Emily didn't regret a single thing. Emily stepped out of the coffee shop into the cold rain, feeling the weight of the world pressing down on her. The city lights blurred through the drops falling on her face, mixing with tears she didn't bother to wipe away. She was fired, just like that. Her heart ached, not just because she lost her job, but because she was being punished for something she believed was right. Inside, the coffee shop was quiet now. Her co-workers watched from behind the counters, their eyes wide but silent. No one said a word. They were scared of losing their own jobs, scared of Mr. Carver's sharp temper. Emily wanted to shout, to tell them it was okay to stand up for kindness, but the words caught in her throat. Her mind raced with questions. How would she pay the rent this month? What would Danny do without her income? The future felt like a dark, endless tunnel, with no light at the end. For the first time in a long while, she doubted herself. Was kindness really worth it? Was it a foolish dream in a world that only cared about money and rules? She wrapped her coat tighter and started the long walk home. Each step was heavy. The rain soaked through her clothes, chilling her to the bone. Yet even in the cold, a small spark inside her refused to go out, because Emily knew that kindness wasn't just about coffee or sandwiches. It was about believing in people, about hope, about making the world a better place, even when it didn't seem to care. She wiped her tears and whispered to herself, I may have lost my job, but I haven't lost who I am. And somewhere deep inside, she held on to that truth like a lifeline. A whole week passed, and Emily's life felt stuck in slow motion. Days blurred together as she searched for new jobs, sent out resumes, and tried to keep her hope alive. But nothing came through. The fear of failing Danny weighed heavier with each passing day. Then, one quiet evening, her phone buzzed with a new email notification. She didn't recognize the sender. The subject line read, We need to talk, Emily. Curious but cautious, she opened it. The message was short but unexpected. Emily, I've been looking for you. What you did that day showed a kindness I've rarely seen. I want to meet you and explain everything. Please come to the cafe on Maple Street tomorrow at 4 p.m. Emily stared at the screen, heart pounding. Who could this be? Was it a prank, or something more? Her mind raced through every possibility, but something in the message felt genuine, like a thread of hope pulling her forward. She decided to go. The next afternoon, Emily sat nervously at the small cafe, glancing at the door every few minutes. Then he walked in, the same man she had helped, the one everyone thought was homeless. Only now, he looked different. Clean clothes, confident posture, and a calm smile. He introduced himself as James Whitmore. To Emily's surprise, he explained that he was not homeless at all. He was a retired CEO, who had been running a social experiment to see how people treated those down on their luck. He said he had been deeply moved by Emily's genuine kindness, how she had helped him without asking for anything in return. Most people ignored him, some were rude, but Emily was the only one who truly saw him as a person. James said, Your kindness is rare. I want to offer you a chance to make a real difference in the world, but first, I needed to find you. Emily sat in stunned silence. Could this be real? Could one simple act of kindness really change everything? Emily sat quietly, across from James Whitmore, still trying to take it all in. He looked at her kindly, the kind of look that made you feel seen, really seen, for the first time in a long time. James began to explain. I wasn't always like this, he said. I used to be the CEO of a large company, living a life of luxury. But after years of success, I started to lose faith in people. I thought kindness was just a mask, something fake people use to get ahead. He paused, letting the words settle. So I decided to go undercover. I left everything behind. I became homeless and walked the streets to see how people would treat me. Emily nodded slowly, recalling that cold rainy day. Most people ignored me. Some were cruel. But you showed me real kindness. No judgment. No hesitation. You helped me because you cared, not because you wanted anything in return. James smiled warmly. That day, you reminded me that there is still goodness in the world, and that's why I've been looking for you. Emily's heart raced. She still couldn't believe this was happening. James continued. I'm starting a non-profit initiative to help underprivileged youth, kids like your brother, and so many others, who need support, education, and hope. He leaned forward. I want you to run the program. Your kindness, your strength, and your dream to make a difference. It all fits perfectly. Emily's eyes widened. The chance to finally help others the way she always dreamed. It was more than she ever hoped for. But that's not all, James added with a smile. I've read some of your writing. Your stories have heart and soul. I want to help you publish your first book. Emily blinked, overwhelmed. The quiet girl behind the coffee counter, fired for kindness, was being handed a chance to change lives and share her voice with the world. Tears filled her eyes, not from sadness, but from hope. James reached out and handed her a small envelope. Inside was a contract to lead the non-profit, and a letter from a publishing house interested in her work. This is your chance, he said softly, to turn kindness into action, to build the future you've always dreamed of. Emily felt like she was dreaming. She had lost her job, her security, and her peace. But in that moment, she realized something important. Sometimes losing everything is the beginning of something greater, and sometimes, a simple act of kindness can open doors you never knew existed. Emily took a deep breath and signed the contract. It felt like the first step on a path she had only dreamed about. With James' support, she began leading the non-profit program. Every day, she met young people who needed hope just like she once did. She shared her story, her kindness, and her passion for writing. Slowly, she helped build a community where kids could learn, grow, and believe in themselves. Her days were busy but full of purpose. The small apartment where she and Danny lived became brighter. Emily's dreams were no longer distant wishes, they were unfolding in real life. And then the book. With James' help, Emily's writing was polished and published under the title, Brewed with Kindness. The book shared stories of everyday kindness, and how small acts could change lives. It touched hearts, inspired readers, and gave Emily a voice she never imagined she had. News of her success spread. Former co-workers reached out to congratulate her. Some even found the courage to quit the cafe, tired of Mr. Carver's harsh ways. Meanwhile, the coffee shop where Emily had worked began to lose customers. Without her warmth, and with the growing bad reviews about Mr. Carver's strictness, the shop eventually closed down. Emily didn't celebrate their failure. She felt only sadness for those still struggling there. But she knew one thing for sure: kindness had won. Her life had been turned upside down, but it led her exactly where she was meant to be. She wasn't just a barista anymore. She was a leader, a writer, and a symbol of hope. And she knew that sometimes, losing everything is just the start of a new beginning. Emily often thinks back to that rainy afternoon, the moment she lost her job for simply being kind. At the time, she thought it was the end of her story, a failure, a punishment. But looking back now, she knows it was the beginning of something far greater. Sometimes, doing the right thing doesn't bring immediate rewards. Sometimes, it feels like the world is against you. Sometimes, kindness can feel like a weakness. But Emily learned that kindness is never wasted. It's a seed planted in the soil of life. Sometimes it takes time to grow. Sometimes it grows in unexpected ways. Her story is proof that even when it feels like you're losing everything, those moments can lead to new chances, new paths, and new hope. For anyone watching who feels alone, rejected, or lost right now, remember this: your kindness matters, your heart matters. Even if it feels like no one notices, even if the world seems cold, keep being you, because sometimes, the hardest moments in life are just setting the stage for something incredible. Emily's life changed, not because she sought reward, but because she stayed true to herself. And that's a lesson we can all carry. So if you're going through a tough time, hold on. Believe that better days are coming. Kindness is powerful. And sometimes, just sometimes, it can change your life. If you believe kindness can change the world, please give this story a thumbs up. Your support means a lot. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more inspiring true stories that remind us of the power of hope and heart. And if you know someone who could use a little encouragement today, share this video with them. Together we can spread kindness and inspire change, one story at a time.